When last we left our intrepid adventurers. Actually, I'm trying to remember. What was last we left our intrepid adventurers?
You defeated the end of all things.
All right.
Which we
Yeah, we did
decided
that thing.
should actually have be renamed to the end of a few things. Because it basically just killed like 4 people and then got destroyed.
Pretty weak doomsday device, really. We basically hit it with a far better apocalypse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you recall the Ood apocalypse, it kind of wrecked all magic. So what they did is they went into the past and they built a time police to bounce the end of all things to moments before the Ood apocalypse.
Whereupon it get hit by the Ood apocalypse.
Yeah.
That hurt it greatly. Basically, the end of all things was the Time Mage's biggest toy, and we broke it.
Yeah, it was wrecking things and actively being a very big threat.
But the Time Mages themselves, we haven't taken out. We have actually started eating into their leadership. We've killed a couple of Mouths of the Void, which are like high-level Time Mages. So that's good. But we haven't exactly, ended the threat. Excuse me. Because let's do it again, yeah.
Well, and they know it's not exactly clear what end of all things is, but they did summon it, so it wasn't like their boss. And the Mouths of the Void, they know that there's almost always 4, so presumably they regenerate somehow.
Yeah. We actually spent a while interrogating the Time Tower about where Mouths of the Void come from. Turns out they promote regular doppelgangers to become Mouths of the Void.
But it does take several years, so...
Many years.
Yeah.
Well, it depends, right? The Time Tower said there's almost always 4, and presumably it was not talking in meta time. So that means that, probably if we whittle them down, they can't easily replace them. So the fact that we've killed 2 of them is good news. We've made some actual measurable progress there. But it's still very reactive.
Well, one they killed who had just time traveled to them. So that one must be from near baseline. So that one is probably not going to be replaced anytime soon. They killed one in the distant past, so it's highly likely that one has been replaced by now.
Yeah.
This please.
But even so, we're getting better at this. And it's time to make a more proactive approach.
Yeah.
So we spent some time. We did try and interrogate the Time Tower to try and find out where their base of operations is. Where's their rebel base? All that. I don't recall the Time Tower being very helpful, but we ultimately sort of figured it out anyway, or at least made a decision.
It's actually kind of painful for me because I don't mind giving out this information, but it's very clear that I can only give a one-word answer or a very brief phrase. And they keep they don't want some BS answer, so they keep honing it down to this perfect phrase, and then it's if you just asked something general, I probably could have given a better answer, but instead the answer is just no.
Yeah. So we decided, let's go to Allen Way, because everything that sucks is at Allen Way.
Yeah.
So that's probably where the Time Mages are.
Well, and they know that they have a base under Allen Way from after they summon the end of all things.
And we're going to go to baseline.
What's the name of this place, sorry?
Allen Way.
Okay.
Not the Steve way, the Allen way.
I don't think you really want to get your fingerprints on Allen Way, though.
Yeah.
The thing about Allen Way that makes it famous is it is constantly destroyed.
Two is fine.
I think I'll just have 1. Haha. I'm different.
Yeah, Allen way has a special property of always
I
getting
guess there's just one.
ruined in history.
It does sound like something I'm familiar with.
Turns out there's a reason, though. It's because time travel is really easy in Allen Way.
And the Time Tower keeps falling on it.
Yeah. In order to prevent history from being changed, the Time Tower often uses a very blunt instrument and destroys Allen Way.
Like a lava rocket.
Yeah, there's sort of a sense of how history is supposed to go. Not exactly fate, but you can think of it as fate. That's a simple version. And if you try to go against fate, you can do it to a certain degree, but eventually it'll be like, no, I kill you, so that the things turn out how they're supposed to. And that kept happening to Allen Way. It would be like, ooh, I figured out time travel. Oh, the volcano erupted and destroyed the whole city. Oops.
Wow. Okay, this is the big one.
That was like a workout carrying that.
And for once, I get the first piece. There we go. Sure, a bit more. So yeah, we already knew that there was a sort of a village of doppelgangers in the undercity of Allen Way. And they had been sort of not cleaned out exactly, but they'd been attacked by the Spellblades
That's going to be too rare.
earlier. So there probably weren't a huge number of
Do
them.
you want my medium rare? That's too rare.
Yep.
but it's certainly a good place to start, if nothing else.
Oh, thank you.
Maybe we can find some correspondence there that has a return address on it or something like that.
Right, yeah.
Probably. I'll try it.
Hello, Faceless One, number 372. Please report to main base at...
Exactly. Dantooine. They're on Dantooine. So we decided to go at baseline. And the problem, there's a bit of a problem with going baseline. I mean, baseline's good because you can wantonly kill whoever you want.
Right.
And Time Tower doesn't care, which is a rare thing for us these days. We're always having to hold our fire and be very careful with who we kill. It's really cramping our style.
As adventurers.
Yeah. The downside is, Allenway is currently basically depopulated because the Warforged came and killed everyone, while at the same time distributing flyers blaming us for it all.
Sounds legit.
Did you expect us to try and stop that?
I don't know.
It seemed like a reasonable thing for them to do.
Yeah, because we never really thought about stopping it in any great detail because we had bigger things to do in the past, I guess.
I
It's
guess
Allenway, they're just suffering.
Once there's time travel involved, it sort of takes the time pressure off certain things, like Allenway's being destroyed. Well, we'll get to that whenever we feel like it.
Yeah.
we never did. Though we have taken some care not to actually go and see all the devastation in Allenway. So it still remains a possibility that maybe it's just, Cricket dressed up as a Warforged running around distributing flyers, making a lot of noise.
Because Cricket. I remember Cricket.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
they were very careful not to observe anything
We don't want to see the chaos and carnage in our name.
so that they could later save Allenway
Maybe.
and it wouldn't have as much of an impact.
I mean, maybe it will, maybe it won't. I don't know.
All they'd have to do really is impersonate that person who came and recognized him, I think, in Freeport and was like, "Are you the ones on this flyer the Warforged are killing in Allenway?" They just have to impersonate that person, and then their personal timeline is saved.
By the way, canceling your subscription appears to be difficult. There's like a password associated with your order, except they appear to have reset mine to blank and doesn't accept blank. I finally found a link to a page.
They did migrate all the accounts over, and I got a warning saying I had to do something, and then I forgot to do it, but then it just kept working, so...
What was this for, sir?
For the insider
D&D
stuff.
Insider.
So we went to Allenway, and we started exploring the Undercity, where we remembered that there were shapeshifters in the past. And there were a few still around. There were some of the skinwalker types that, are herky-jerky and not very good at impersonating, and you can tell by a simple crotch check whether they are genuine.
You don't need to make a crotch check. They're obsessed with this crotch check thing.
The one time we don't do it, it's going to be some guy with Parkinson's. And we'll murder an innocent cripple. And
Okay.
yeah.
If you see a guy with Parkinson's...
And then no more Back to the Future.
Yeah.
So you did some crotch checks and...
I don't think they actually did.
No.
Because
Okay.
they just like to say that. But
Okay.
really, because the skinwalkers are just like zombies. They're corpses possessed by like the goo that would normally be a doppelganger, but it's like a less evolved form.
What are these crotch checks, sir?
And so when they killed the first time they encountered skinwalkers, they killed them, and they're just zombies that their corpses have been hollowed out and filled with black goo. And when they die, they collapse over and black goo oozes out from their crotch because that's
where
their torso, right?
The entry point.
And so now they're obsessed with how, if you see anyone, they might be a skinwalker, you got better do a crotch check. Although skinwalkers, unlike doppelgangers, are clearly zombies. Like they're like they're moving very poorly. The only reason to really do a crotch check is to tell, is this a zombie or a skinwalker? And really, you can just do that after you kill it.
If it's a zombie, we can let it go on its way.
Anyway.
Yeah. So
they don't
There's
really
nothing wrong with core blood.
They don't really do any crotch checks, but
Yeah.
they talk about doing it a lot.
yeah. And I mentioned to the other players that Cricket's her stealth skill is up to 32. And so Hank was like,
Yeah, please.
maybe we should have her do some scouting ahead. Like, finally. That was what I had to get it up to in order to get them to allow me to do the scouting ahead. Okay, well.
Now we trust you.
I did a lot to crank it up that high.
Is this still a D20 based system?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's for you.
So 32 seems
32 is
quite
really,
high.
it is quite high.
One might call it epic.
It's my highest skill now. I've got some gear that helps it out, so. Anyway, So I do some of the sort of scout ahead and then, pop up behind the sentries and slit their throats before they can make an alarm thing. So we proceed through the area without any alarms being raised.
Now, the place is mostly deserted. There's
Yes, please.
There's a huge warren of caves down here with multiple villages, the size of the huge village they saw before.
Thank you.
I think I will come out of retirement briefly for one of these.
So yeah, it's pretty much abandoned. And
It's a very large area, and there could be hundreds or maybe thousands in here, and there's like none
Thousands of what, sir?
but there were some guards.
of
So-
doppelgangers. So it's like a huge underground complex, and it's almost deserted except for some crappy skinwalkers.
They were trying to do guarding stuff though, so we figured there's still some kind of presence here. So it's worth sneaking in and
Well, Gerard made this epic check on a tracking ritual and determined how many people, and they had all left within the last week or so.
Yeah.
And they were all going this direction, and that's what set Cricket off on her.
So we finally make our way to this huge chamber. There was guards outside the chamber. No, they were inside the chamber. There was a final set of guards. They were guarding this special door inside this huge cavern. And the floor of the huge cavern had all these runes engraved in it, all over the place. It was just a spider web of runes everywhere. So I do the pop up behind and twist head thing for the last set of guards.
Yeah, and they're guarding. This is a big natural cavern, and the doors are like an artificial.
So yeah, it's like this big stone vault door. It's big, massive, like clearly important. But also these runes seem very important. So now that we have a few minutes, serendipity arcanas the heck out of the runes. I investigate the door. I guess we sort of also figured out the door, but we didn't open it. It has like some sort of horrendous magical trap on it, and Croesus was all like, "Oh, that's all right. I can tank anything. I've got my armor. No matter how much damage it's gonna do, I'll just tank it. No problem. I'm just gonna open the door." Or kind of check. Yeah, it sucks your soul out. And so Cricket was like, my time to shine. And everyone was like, "No, Cricket, you idiot." And I'm like, "It's just an inconvenience." But as it turns out, Cricket.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
As it turns out, Cricket can totally open that door without any problems whatsoever. Because in my last level up, I took a feat that gave me some great stealth bonuses and dark vision and stuff like that, but it also gives me the shadow creature type, which John has interpreted for purposes of this campaign is Cricket's sort of like, half void creature now.
Yeah.
Well, especially after last session
Yeah.
when she just got eaten twice by Mouths of the Void, and she's been experimenting with Brenda in the whole campaign.
Yeah, and I've been erased from history at least twice, maybe 3 times. Yeah. And then finally, I'm the one that delivers the killing blow, as it were, on the end of all things, which is sort of the ultimate void creature. So yeah.
You know void stuff.
I know void stuff. So yeah, I can totally open this door and it'll just think I'm another doppelganger. Cricket insists it's because she doesn't have a soul. But,
Thank you very much.
it just further proves her point.
Thank you.
Well, but Cricket knows that she does have a soul,
Yeah.
it's not hers. So would she just wantonly throw away Katrina's soul like that?
She's not really doing anything. I mean, she knows that she might have, a memory time bomb in her, because Serendipity had the opportunity to sort of put latent Katrina memories, Katrina memories in there. And
Yeah, her name is Katrina, but for some reason everyone kept calling her Catriona. I don't know why.
I think it's because Tim. Croesus kept calling her that, and then everyone picked up on it, even though Croesus is constantly misnaming people. So, anyway. So yeah, I may have that memory bomb in there, but I don't know if that even necessarily requires your soul to be present. Whatever. Doesn't matter. In any case, either way, I can open the door without any harm whatsoever. But we don't necessarily want to. Not yet, anyway. We're investigating these runes. They're time travel sigils. Basically, what it looks like happened is they did a mass time travel of hundreds, possibly thousands of skinwalkers. What was it? Something like 300?
I said 300, but then after I was thinking about it, and it should be more than that. I have to actually. Yeah, please. I'm gonna have to retcon that exact number because it didn't actually work out properly.
That's fine.
But hundreds anyway.
They all time traveled simultaneously, and we figured out where they went. They went to the final battle of the Great War over at Freeport, where the Empire of Endless Flowers was defeated. And presumably they're going to do something to screw with history there and make the bad guys win.
Serendipity noticed something interesting in that they had saved magical energy by only allowing time mages to go through, because they're already more attuned to time, which, by the way, is horribly breaking. When she sensed that moment from the Battle of Freeport, time was already breaking, but it's breaking even worse now from that moment.
Because they went there, or
Yeah,
because
they're doing something to mess things up over there.
Yeah, time is getting very broken in a few places, and some of the places you can even see like the cracks forming where there's like a delay and this weird crack.
Yeah.
But just all the stuff that they're doing and the party and stuff is causing a lot of cracking in time.
Are the cracks the same shape?
No,
It's not like that crack.
no. Different crack. Otherwise,
I love the TV
otherwise,
tropes
Yeah.
got rid of your comment.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
You have some gum, because that would work for the cracks.
Time gum.
But
Although that was destroyed in the apocalypse, unfortunately.
the sigil is only works for void
Time,
creatures.
yeah.
Except there was this little section in the corner that was like fully completed that would work for anyone.
Yeah.
And Gerard did some amazing tracking druid, and he's like a dungeon druid, right? So he's like, I don't know, this is like his element.
Yeah.
And so he determined that there were 50 creatures who were not void creatures, and were in fact they clearly didn't have legs. In fact, you might say they were large slithering creatures.
Now here's the part where
They're-
if John wasn't here, you'd start accusing me of being an unreliable narrator, because clearly this doesn't make sense. The Temple of Freedom wouldn't be going and messing with time to make the Empire of Endless Flowers win that war, because that's wrong. That's exactly the opposite of their whole philosophy, even if you disregard the personal merits, because, if the war never ends with them losing, then the Temple of Freedom never forms. Destroy their own history. Yeah, doesn't make any sense. But here's the thing that I think you would agree maybe makes me not an unreliable narrator in raising these objections. Croesus agreed with me.
Why?
He thought it didn't make sense that the High Priestess would be behind this, and he sort of was like, my speculation was it must be some rogue element within the Temple of Freedom, and if we just contact her, the High Priestess, she'll help us sort this out, because that's happened before, where a lower level temple priest has tried breaking the rules, and when we contacted his supervisor, as it were, they just killed him. They're very serious about, and of course everyone else is going, oh no, Cricket, you're silly, she's clearly evil, and therefore she must be doing everything that's evil, etc. But Croesus said, you have a point, Cricket, maybe we should contact her. Of course, he's the one who can't give me orders.
Well, now Serendipity owns a 50% share, right?
75.
5% share.
It's all up to Serendipity, really.
7% share of what, sorry?
Of Cricket.
Okay.
Okay.
The party slave.
Yeah, no, domestic, not a slave.
Party prisoner with job.
She's there of her own free will.
Yeah, I like that better.
She's there completely of her own free will. Because she was programmed long ago to want this. Anyway.
So does Serendipity decide that?
No, Serendipity is all like, no, you mustn't contact her, you must never talk with the High Priestess, you must never tell anyone about time travel, blah, 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 blah. She's like totally the least fun owner I've had.
There was a serious debate, but I think it ended with deciding not to contact.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have such an I told you so dance at some point.
I think it's because they felt they couldn't trust her anyway. So if they're like, hey, did you do this? She'll be, no matter what, she's going to say, of course not. And that tells them nothing and is given away that they know.
I mean, she's a giant liar face.
The point was not...
Of course she would want to turn the war back.
The point was not to confirm it, because clearly that's the most reasonable thing that happened anyway. We don't need confirmation. We need allies. If we could, let her know that rogue elements within the Temple of Freedom have gone blah, 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 maybe she will help us destroy them.
That last speech setting was perfect.
But anyway.
Now I feel sufficiently full.
Yeah.
But not
Sufficiently saponsified.
No.
You've been neated.
Anyway, not my call. Although Cricket is authorized to override orders that would result in her being erased from history. So, well, I mean, the Empire of Endless Flowers needs to lose that war. Otherwise, Cricket would never exist, right? So clearly that has to happen. So I don't know. I doubt the party would tell her to let them win or something. That's silly, but it's not likely to come up. In any event, though, we did some further investigation. We started interrogating the room because Serendipity has a spell that lets her talk to rooms. And this room,
Handy thing, that.
this room seemed to have PTSD. It was really timid and freaked out because of all the weird stuff that's been going on.
And I was so happy to talk to creatures that don't change their shape.
Yeah.
Just like they stay the same, just like me.
Yeah.
I'm made of stone. I don't change. You don't change. We're like each other.
Yeah. Yeah, it had this sort of frightened, tone of voice whenever we were talking to it. But I drew some great portrait art of the High Priestess and of I did 100 of all the temple priests and priestesses.
All the ones you would remember, which
that I
you
could
probably
remember.
know, because
Yeah.
High Priestess was basically
Yeah.
your
Rooms
mother.
like snakes all look the same to me.
Yeah, I'm like, you racists.
No, it noticed
Totally.
them because they didn't change their shape either.
So I paid a lot of attention to those guys.
And Gerard had already found a scrap of fabric that.
And basically, I only drew one that it recognized. So pretty much all the serpent priests and priestesses that I grew up with aren't involved in this, which is a bit of a relief.
Actually, it's interesting because I didn't realize you thought you were drawing 100. I thought you were just drawing the top generals, which would be 10.
I was drawing everyone I could remember the faces of. Okay, so maybe there were a few. We'll sort that out later. But of the top generals, only one was recognized. And was it the one? The room said that was the one that had gone in through the big vault door and not come back out again.
Yes, I think
Right.
so.
Okay.
And Cricket remembered that it was. She was young at the time, but it was that person would always come in and talk to the High Priest about tactical issues. It's like she didn't understand, but it had something to do with.
Yeah,
with
I was
moving
so young and naive back then, not like the grizzled 6-year-old that I am now. I'm probably gonna turn 7 soon. Yeah.
Well, the campaign has been on. I mean, it's been probably a year of campaign time,
All right.
meta time, or whatever it's
Yeah.
called now. So you probably are 7.
I'm
by
7 now. Yeah. Those young innocent days when I was 6, but now I'm 7. The weight of the world is on me.
Construct? I can't remember.
It's not exactly.
You missed. You must not have
You
been
missed
here
the
for.
origin story.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
They went back in time
She's
to Cricket's
actually
birthday.
she's actually a goat, and this was always known. That basically domestics are goats and cattle that have been given humanoid form and intelligence, but they're still goats and cattle.
It means it's okay to keep them to do your work because
Yeah.
slavery, it's
It's
just like keeping a pet.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like keeping a horse to pull your cart or whatever.
Yeah,
That's the conceit anyway.
and the
At
truth.
this point, there's a small sigil on the ground in orange, and when you click on it, it says "Liar up ahead."
I think he was too distracted by
damn
me.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a small sigil on the ground at this point in the conversation that glows, and when you click on it, it says "Liar ahead."
Yeah, so the idea
you
is that
recall from your Dark Souls
they can bring an end to slavery.
Yeah.
And so they have the Temple of Freedom where
Oh,
where
okay.
the
Now John's talking.
the former slaves come and they help them put them on boats to go to the free lands and give them a new life. And the same Temple of Freedom
Makes domestics.
also makes domestics.
Turns out there's a bit of a complication. Dark secret, you could say. In order to make a domestic, you have to melt down a former pain slave. So, yeah,
A person.
a person, yeah.
But I can see how it's definitely not unethical to.
So
The first generation, I agree, it's a bit unethical.
but
That's what the plan is. I mean, domestics can breed naturally. So over time,
Cricket is so part of
this
the
is
thing
just
is that
the little dark secret at the beginning, the little skeleton in the closet, as it were.
yeah.
And then after that, everything is hunky-dory.
Everyone was pretty horrified, except for, of course, Cricket, because she's been brainwashed to believe that she does not have a soul. That's part of why it's okay.
Trained to understand.
And so now that it was clear they watched them melt down a person to make her, and the person who's like knows about souls and magic observed that the machine put the soul into her, but she's now convinced that she's just a Kalashtar, which is a creature with 2 souls. So she has no soul and someone else's soul, and next generation will be soulless.
Yes, because Kalashtar don't breed true. It doesn't work that way.
Of course, obviously no one else in the party believes this.
Everyone's an idiot but me.
But Brian is the one who tells the tale, so we hear Cricket's perspective. So the Temple of Freedom and the High Priestess of Freedom are like bad guys and lying lie faces. But Cricket, after it was discovered that Cricket knew time travel, her past changed, and then the High Priestess learned that Cricket was a time traveler. Her past suddenly changed, so that the High Priestess took her in and was like a mother figure to her, and like raised her from birth as her own.
Which
and
really,
the spy camp.
Which really didn't change anything as far as I was concerned, you know.
Yeah, basically the High Priestess had been spying on Cricket.
Her whole life. Yeah.
Some of the title High Priestess, she's so malevolent and evil.
Yeah, but she's not the Serpent Queen.
that is definitely clear.
Yeah.
High Priestess of Freedom too, you said?
Temple of Freedom, yeah.
These people must be good.
So, anyway, where were we about that? The priestesses of freedom, or priests of freedom, or whatever they are.
Yeah.
They were helping out.
Some of them were. A faction of them were helping out. And we know that also behind that door, this is probably... I mean, the room only knows what happened within it. So we asked it, who went into this door and never came back out again. So it's possible there's a back door, but probably not. Especially since when I was about to open it, John was like, I haven't prepped the battle on the other side, so we just delay for 15 minutes. So that kind of is a hint that there's something behind there. But we're about to go in there anyway, so it's not going to affect our decision making. There's probably this general of the Temple of Freedom. Don't think they're generals, but anyway, he's like a bishop. You can only slither diagonally across the room. But you can go real far. Anyway, there's like this traitor bishop in there, and there's probably some high level. There might even be a Mouth of the Void or 2 in there.
A rook, perhaps.
Yeah.
Well, then it would be not a bishop, but a cardinal, because you can only move in cardinal directions.
Anyway, so that's about where we are. I can open the door, or Cricket can open the door, and then we'll go in there and have a huge fight. And hopefully we'll capture that bishop guy, cardinal, whatever. Bishop Cardinal.
One thing...
and get some answers out of him.
Another thing they found from the room was they had this idea of sabotaging the time sigil
yes.
to send the army to the wrong place.
Yes, I'm going to send them to the Apocalypse too. We're in Allen Way. We could do that.
You could time plane anything.
Well, from Allen Way you could send things to the Apocalypse.
Yeah, they won't be able to time plane it because it's too big of a thing.
Right.
But if
you need a giga time plane.
But they have access to the sigil theoretically if they could sabotage it to go to the wrong place. And they asked the room when it was empty, and there was a time between when the army arrived while they were having like a final council of war or something. They all went into the inner sanctum area, and so there was only about 10 guards at that time. So they have this plan of potentially, and this was like probably like 2 days ago or something.
Yeah.
So they have this plan of trying to go back to 2 days ago. Of course, all the warrens of caves up to this point will be packed with doppelgangers at that time.
It's a bit of an iffy plan. I mean, we'll probably tweak things if we can get more information out of their leadership, which hopefully are behind that door and hopefully won't kill us. Hopefully we'll be able to get some kind of additional intel out of them as to exactly what they're doing in the past. Clearly they're up to no good, but it might be that there's some way we can more easily go back in time and stop things back there than it would be tampering with the sigils here. We'll see.
There was also some, I don't know what it was, elation or something, because all this time they've been debating which factions to take on in which order. And I told them, whichever ones you leave are going to get more powerful because you left them alone. And up till now, they were like, well, we probably don't need to even do anything with the Temple of Freedom. They're not even bad guys.
Yeah.
And then now they seem to have at least some of them teamed up with the Time Mages.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, see, now we need to take them out.
We need to help them purge their rogue members. It is definitely disappointing that they would have rogue members like that. I mean, I was already embarrassed when that one tried to scam the party out of owning Cricket, but I was very smug when they just insta-killed him as soon as we registered a complaint with the supervisor. Yeah. I was like, see? And everyone was horrified. And I was like, what? There's no pleasing you people. So yeah, unfortunately, John's going to be away for 2 weeks now. So hopefully we'll remember all this.
Luckily you partner.
Yeah. I can't believe that Croesus is the one that agrees with me that we should contact the High Priestess and ask her what is up with all this. After all this time and all these situations, this is the one where Croesus has come around. Wow. Oh well. Broken clock.
Oh, this is wonderful. Going to the Oodlands, seeing how they live, seeing the ruins. Oh, and now another dungeon. This is so great with a magical door. This is such a great group of people to hang out with. And it was so nice to be following footprints and seeing what's around. But the very best part was when I realized I can now smell snakes. I had no idea they stunk so bad. I think I've been spending so much time in my wolf form lately that I'm actually being able to smell things better. It's amazing. Oh, except Hank kind of needs a bath. And I can't believe Croesus. Oh, man. Why is he encouraging her? Oh.
There'd be birds down here. No, anyway. So finally we get to do things the way I like to do things, with some good old-fashioned killing. Slaughter, massacre. Wait, where'd they all go? Stupid time travel.
So I'm pretty sure that if I get my armor on, I'm pretty much immune to most anything they can do to me. So I think I should be the one to just open this door.
Wait. Let me just run a few checks on that first, Croesus.
If you must.
Croesus, do you like having a soul?
What do you mean?
Don't open the door.
I'm finding having a soul to be a huge hassle.
Well, you're kind of brainwashed.
You should keep your soul, but you should open the door for other reasons, Cricket.
Well, all right, if you say so.
None of this makes any sense. I'm just going to open the door. I mean, what's the worst
Wait,
that can happen?
Wait.